That was the question. What are they going to do next?
Over the next week, someone sent boxes of live cockroaches and spiders to the Steiner.
Yeah, so that happened. You'll never believe which e-commerce platform did that. This episode is a Seller News episode, but it could also be a Freaky Friday episode. Let's dive in and talk more about it. Hey everyone, what is going on? I'm your host, LL. Welcome back to the Handmade and Beyond podcast, YouTube channel, wherever you guys are watching this. Today I have an Etsy Seller News, or a Seller News podcast rather, because I'm not talking specifically about Etsy. Thank God, after you saw the first part of that clip. But this is still relevant because a lot of you guys sell on this platform, and these poor people were harassed by 6 employees, possibly more, from this company. And I'm sure you can guess, it's the second largest e-commerce company in the world, not Amazon. It is our friends over there at eBay. And this is back in the news. This huge harassment and stalking scandal is back in the news because 60 Minutes, where I just featured that little clip from, did a feature on it rather, on Sunday, bringing this back in the news. This happened a few years ago. They tried to sweep it under the rug. Of course, if you see how crazy this was, of course, eBay is going to try to sweep this under the rug. And this came right from the top. A huge scandal, but it is back in the news. So I thought it was only pertinent to tell you guys what happened in case you don't know, because this story is really crazy. And it's a slow news week for Etsy. Not a lot going on there. So we're going to focus on eBay. A lot of you guys sell on eBay. I sell on eBay. So this is still kind of front of mind for you guys as far as what is going on. So this happened back in, I believe, 2019, 2020. There is a website or blog site called E-commerce Bytes, which releases newsworthy stuff about the major e-commerce platforms out there, Amazon, eBay, Etsy. They released some negative information about what was going on with eBay at the time. I'm not sure what was going on. There's usually, just like any platform, there's always some type of negative stuff going on. It's a huge Fortune 500 company, so there's always stuff going on. So they released some negative press, and it's a couple. This is a small blog news site, but they're journalists. It's a couple that runs it. And they released a couple of articles, or one article, about what was going on with eBay at the time. And even though it was small, they get a lot of traffic, hundreds of thousands of views every single week. So the e-commerce sites do pay attention to these, quote, smaller type publications. And they were putting out some negative press. The former CEO, David Winning, felt angered by their reporting and sent a text to the chief communications officer at the time, Stephen Weimer. Basically said, "We are going to crush this lady." And the chief communications officer sent a text back saying, "Take her down." So from there, things escalated quickly. And the COO, the chief communications officer, then texted senior director of safety and security, James Ball, saying, "I want to see ashes." So whatever this means, talking trash, it didn't say specifically, but definitely put fuel on the flames. And then from there, Mr. Ball, the safety and security guy, the thing that's supposed to be in charge of safety and security, which is why this is so crazy, he took things in his own hands, basically taking from that text, do something drastic, right? He wasn't told specifically, or we don't know, there's no proof that he was told specifically what to do. So he basically started a reign of terror on these poor people from E-commerce Bytes with 6 other employees, doing different harassment level things, some crazy stuff to these poor people. So it started off, I'm going to dive into it because you guys, I'm sure, want to know what's going on, what he did. So it started off with a bunch of email signups. They woke up, opened their email. There's tons of signups to all these newsletters, crazy newsletters like the Satanic Temple and other ones. Use your imagination. I'm not going to go through the specifics of the crazy ones, but so they're like, what the heck's going on? Their email box was flooded. Then they started getting harassment via Twitter, some angry messages, some vulgar messages on Twitter. Started getting some angry phone calls, some threatening phone calls. From there, they got a phone call about how they couldn't deliver their live specimen that they ordered. And they were like, what the heck is this? What live specimen? Apparently, these people from eBay tried to have a pig fetus sent to their house. Gross, right? And they weren't able to deliver for whatever reason. Thank God. It probably would have scarred these poor people. So that didn't go through, but they knew something was going on at this point. They started to involve the police. They were mailed live cockroaches, which you saw in that clip, live spiders. I can't imagine getting those in the mail. Freaking gross, right? Make my skin crawl. Then they were mailed a pig mask from the movie Saw. One of the movies of Saw, this dude wears a pig mask, gross pig mask. They opened it up, didn't know what it was. It was like Jeffrey Dahmer style, thought it was someone's face, realized it was a fake mask. So that freaked them out. They were totally freaked out by this time, but the harassment did not stop. It continued. They were signed up on Craigslist for fake yard sales, fake garage sales, sex parties, you name it. They were signed up there. So random people were probably showing up to their house for this stuff that was advertised on Craigslist. The husband then was mailed a book addressed to him that said "Surviving the Loss of a Spouse." So basically a threat, basically saying like, watch out, we're coming for your wife. And then a day later, he was sent a funeral arrangement, like a wreath. He's a nice wreath, for a legit wreath for a funeral arrangement. So they were totally freaked out by this. The cops were looking into it. They involved the FBI to figure out what was going on. Clearly, these eBay people took things to the next level, but they did not cover their tracks. The cops were able to track down, the wreath is what did them in. They were able to track down that this was bought with a gift card from the website. And they were able to track down where the gift cards were purchased and able to pull camera footage and show that it was an eBay employee that purchased those gift cards and then purchased the wreath. Pretty crazy police work, but this just goes to show you it's pretty easy to get caught if you're doing stuff electronically. They did not cover their tracks well. So they were caught. They were rounded up. They were, I'm sure they turned on each other because there were 6 people that ended up being involved. And those 6 people got arrested. Some of them went to jail. Some of them got house arrest. Some of them got fines. However, the craziest part of this story is the fact that the CEO and the COO did not face any charges, any penalties. They both resigned. I'm sure they were both forced to resign, but no charges, no penalties. And this clearly came from the top. Even though these employees supposedly went rogue, there was a culture in the business where they were like, okay, this means that we're going to actually do something that's against the law to these people. Crazy culture, crazy to think about. And the CEO got a severance package of $56 million. Pretty nice, right? Pretty nice at the end of the day. This guy had to resign and then got $56 million for doing so. Anyways, that is this crazy story. I had to bring this to you guys. I'm sure you're going to see it in the news. That is the recap. I'll link to the 60 Minutes interview. It's like 13 minutes long where these people are talking about exactly what happened. But I had to cover this just because, can you imagine if Etsy did something like this or any other platform? I mean, it's nuts. Even the fact that eBay did this, and I'm sure they tried to keep it under the rug. And I don't even remember seeing anything about this a couple of years ago. So they did a pretty good job sweeping this under the rug. But they just mentioned it because it's still out there. There's still, I think, some type of litigation. These people could still face charges. I think the CEO and the COO. So I don't think it's completely over yet, but we'll see what happens. So this is definitely something that is one of the craziest stories that I've heard. But that is all I got for today's episode. If you guys like these type of episodes, please give me a like, share, subscribe, give me a review if you're listening to this on the podcast. I read every comment, I read every review. It helps keep me motivated to bring this stuff you guys' way, to keep you guys informed so we can all learn and grow together in our businesses. That is my goal for you guys. Have an amazing rest of your day.